This is the road that leads to Tenorio National Park, where Rio Celeste is. Rio Celeste is you'll hear it a lot in the adventure shops as a place to go and see. I'm kind of mixed on it. It's a long way to get there. We were here 3 years ago and the roads were rough. They were under construction, so it's difficult to get access to the place. And at any rate, I've heard that since then they have gone ahead and now it's fully paved, so that's good. When we got there, accommodations were scant. We had not reservations, and so we had to really scramble around when we got there to find a place. Fortunately, it was early enough in the day, you know, late, 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, that we were able to find this place, La Amistad, which was just fine. It's a step up from camping. It's not expensive. It's not fancy. Be careful with the showers. They've got these little heaters at the shower head, and if you touch the shower head, you get a little shock. Water and electricity, not a good mix, so be careful if you stay at this place. Although this was 3 years ago, I will say that I see a lot of evolution happening as these sites get more visited and more tourism increases. You'll probably see these accommodations improving also. Nonetheless, the couple that run this particular place were exceptional, real sweet. I mean, sometimes it's not the accommodations that's the reason that you came to a place. Maybe it's the people there. And maybe the gods are guiding you to economically help this family instead of the big fancy resort. So I don't care how much we fooled with these mosquito nets at night to try to cover our beds, you could never get them completely covered, and it seemed like we were fighting mosquitoes all night. Again, we're all kind of stuck in this one room. There really wasn't a whole lot of accommodations to pick from. The grounds, now this is nice. It's breakfast is included, and they had really a splendid, very, very lovely breakfast. Fruit, their typical bean, rice, plantain type of a dish with vegetables. I found it to be quite delicious, if you will. So this place have these two Squawky Parrots. Boy, they're loud. I mean, they talked up a storm, to be sure. Like, apparently they clip their wings so they can't really fly away. They can jump around and go up in the trees, but they definitely are a cute addition to the accommodations. You're going to hear an awful lot of hola, hola, so don't expect them to speak English. Here's a nice little close-up of this guy. Yeah, so the recommendation is get your accommodations set up before you go here. Now a lot of the tourists that are leaving from the coast, Liberia, and they've got this on their guides, tour guides, if you will, they drive you there and they bring you back in the evening. So that's a lot of driving. I mean, I felt like from the state of province of Guanacaste to this place, it seemed like it took almost two plus hours. The roads were rough, so we had to go a little bit slower for sure. So this is the road that leads away from our accommodations, La Amistad. It gives you an idea of what the environment here is like. We're higher up in elevation, to be sure, not as much forestry. So some people really like Rio Celeste. We were kind of so-so about it. I would say that it's just too isolated. There's not a lot of accommodations. The accommodations that are available that are nice are expensive. There's not a lot of other things to do in the immediate area where you can home base it in this area and do 3 or 4 or 5 different stops. So it's a little bit lacking in how do you connect this trip with other trips. Again, they do these adventure tours, and boy, they'll drive you out here and they'll bring you back to your accommodations. It could be a 4 or 5 hour round trip. So here's the road when we were here in 2017. So you can see part of it is completed, part of it is uncompleted. This is the entrance to the park, the ranger station, if you will. A couple things there. They go. I think the park, you have to pay for parking. You can park on the street if you can find it, but they go through your bags and make sure you have no food, so there is not the opportunity to bring picnic type of foods with you, so that you can take your hike. You can get to the waterfalls or to a stream and just sort of relax and have a picnic. They also forbid you from swimming anywhere in the water. So all of those things are kind of a negative. And on top of that, depending on the time, you can hit a tour bus, and they're not just little vans. Some of these buses are huge. They've got like 40 people on them. Seems like 40 people on them. So you can hit 1 or 2 of those, and this place can be really flooded with people. Here you're seeing probably not as many folks, but there's still, you'll see on the hike, there's quite a few people that you're going to run into. So it's not like your little piece of paradise that you get to wander around in the woods and jump in the streams and play in the waterfalls. I mean, the first part of the trail is a little deceptive. You think, oh, this is easy, it's well worked out, and it is in the front part. But then it quickly gets rough and gets your typical, where it's going to require a little bit more physical ability to be able to do this particular hike. I mean, again, this part of the hike is very well worked out. I mean, even in the rain, it's not muddy, but you'll see we do get some rain on us, and the trail is going to get muddy here pretty soon. This video will give you a pretty good idea of what you can expect. Again, we're not seeing anything that I would say is especially special about this particular hike in this national forest. So it's not as if you don't do it, you're not going to see something that isn't available someplace else. I will say the Rio Celeste, where the water is a beautiful turquoisey blue, that is kind of special, but at what cost? So here we're looking for, I think these are capuchin or cada blancos, white-faced monkeys. They tend to be in somewhat large troops. They own the canopy. We are the strangers. This is their environment. Sometimes they can be friendly, sometimes they can howl at you, trying to scare you off. There you see some more monkeys. Here we're trying to catch another view of the monkeys. A little bit elusive. Some nicely worked out bridges. This is going to take us down to the first waterfalls. I mean, you'll see it. The water is really absolutely gorgeous. The bugger of it is that you can't jump in. So even though you see this idyllic little Eden spot, it's just out of arm's reach and you can't get in. And I think there's a security guard there that kind of watches the people. So this part of the trail they certainly made fairly accessible. So I would suspect that the larger troops, groups that they bring in these big vans probably just come to this feature and don't take the entire trail to where Rio Celeste. I'm assuming the origin of that is where the two rivers come together. And it has a bunch of these water features, not as spectacular as this particular waterfalls and the pool of turquoisey water. I mean, this is a pretty good rendition. The color that you see is a nice rendition of what it looks like. So if you were in Liberia, I mean, again, if you take this tour, it's hard to imagine that you could do two things in one day because of the amount of, because it has to take at least 2.5 hours, I would think, almost just to get to this location. Maybe they know a better way, they're going quicker, and the roads are more paved now, so maybe perhaps that's a little bit quicker today, but I mean, it is, it depends again on how far you go hiking. It could be, and probably is, an all-day adventure. We rented a car, so we had a lot more independence, if you will. And so we did get rained on, which without a doubt, any place in Costa Rica, always travel with some type of a rain gear. I always had a poncho, something that I could actually spread out if I needed to and sit on when it wasn't raining, and some that I could throw over myself, and a backpack that was fairly quick to put on. Now the trail is beginning to get a little bit muddier. Nice little viewpoint. From up here you actually get to see a bit of an opening into the more mountainous areas. Yeah, and I think sometimes you sort of want to be walking just in nature, but I think the concert was somewhat of a constant stream, a regular stream of people going by, so it's hard to sort of get into the ambiance and not feel like this was maybe just a little bit too busy. I mean, and I'm going to assume that as time goes on and it becomes even more popular, as more people come to Costa Rica, it's even going to be more inundated with people. Close to here, we found a little bit of a hot spring on the side of the river that we jumped into. Nobody was around, so we did get our little swim in. Don't tell anybody. I mean, it's pretty humid. I mean, to have a refreshing swim is sort of a nice compliment to taking one of these hikes. We're getting close to where the two rivers come together. See, isn't that water, isn't that just gorgeous? This is mostly just a viewing area, and they've got it well signed that says do not swim in the water. So again, I think that's a bit of a drag. Your instinct is to go in there and have an experience with it, but it's forbidden. And just too many people to take a chance. So apparently where the two rivers come together, we'll call it the waterhead. There's a chemical reaction with the oxygen and some of the minerals in the rock, and it causes a optical illusion of that turquoise color. It's not that it actually physically changes the color. It somehow messes with the optics of how we perceive that color. So I think that's pretty neat. So this should give you a pretty good idea of Rio Celeste. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Have a nice trip.